Hello and welcome again to our second video tutorial on Microsoft Excel. In your IG exams, you are required to know a number of functions as far as data analysis is concerned, which is Excel. We've done count A, count if, and count with the not criteria in the first tutorial. All right, so in this tutorial we're going to look at the if. Okay, and within your IG you're supposed to know the if, the nested if, the if and then we have the sum if. So we're going to look at the first one, which is the if. Now in this question here we are asked to return expensive if the price of the items we see here is greater or equal to 1,500 US dollars. And if it is not, we should just enter normal. So to do that, you just type in if and equal to and then if. Now the if statement or function has three arguments. Okay, so within the first argument you have the logical test. Whatever you want to compare is within there, and after you've done the comparison, if it is true, the answer comes here. If it is not true, then the answer goes in there, right? So this first part takes the true part of the statement, and this part will take the false part of the statement. So here what we want to say is we want to compare this to the value here. So it should be greater than or equal to 1,500. So once that is true, then we have to return within the speech mark the word expensive. Okay, so you type in expensive if that is true, and if it is not true, then within the next argument you type within the speech mark again, you type in normal. Okay, all right, so once you do that and hit enter, we'll find within the first cell expensive. Now to autofill, when you bring the cursor close to the cell when it's highlighted, you find a drop down box close there. Not a drop down, you find a box, a small box at the end of the cell. When you place the cursor on it, it turns to a cross. When you double click, it replicates the formula in the remaining cell. So here you can see that these values are less than 1,005, so they are rated as normal. This is greater than 1,005, so we have expensive, and this is 1,005 and it's also expensive. So that is how to work with the if function. Now we go to the next one, which is a nested if. Now the nested if behaves the same way with the if function. However, it has a lot of argument than the if function. So to begin with, I type in the equal sign and start by saying if and open the bracket. So this is the first logical statement I want. Now if this value here, which is in B2, okay, if it is greater or equal to 100, greater or equal to the lowest value here I'll use is 100. Yeah, greater or equal to 100. What I have to return is A plus. So the A plus will be in a speech mark. So I return A plus. Now, however, if this statement is not true, then I have to return the next one, which is 90. Okay, so here what we're going to do here and is say we bring a comma, and then the next thing to do is to type if. Okay, this is to say that if the first argument, which is true, is correct, then it will return A. If the statement is not true, then we go to the next argument. Instead of putting in the false value, the false value now holds the next argument, which is the if. So once again, say if. What else do we want? Still the same value. So once again, if this number here is we want it to be, it should be 90. So here we are looking at 96 to 90. So here we can say that if this cell in if this value here in B, this is greater, okay, is greater, excuse me, is greater or equal to 90, then what we have to return within the speech mark is A. So capital A and close the speech mark. Now once we've returned the truth statement for that, we have to look for the other value, which is the false statement. Now again, the false statement will hold the next argument, which is the if. So once again, we type in if, comma, bracket, and so again, if B2 is greater or equal to the next value we have there is 80, then what we have to return is a B. So in here I type in a B within the speech mark, and again I call in the if. So again, if B2 is if B2 is greater or is equal to again 70, then I have to get the value as C. Okay, it should return the letter grade C, and again we go on if, and then B2 again is greater or equal to the next value I have there is 60, then it should return the value D. And then we go to the last argument. So here, the last argument here, which should return a false, because we don't have we're going to do the last value, which is to return F, okay, to be the last statement which holds the F value. So anything which is less than that, it should return F. So let's see what happens. We are supposed to close the cell the number of times we've opened the bracket, but once you hit enter, Excel will automatically do that for you. So here it returned the cell B, and so let's see here. Yes, of course, 87 is a B. So we want to refill, so all we have to do is to drag and bring it down, and it's replicate here. So here we can see that here we have F, which falls within that criteria F. 75, yes, of course, between 70 to that is a C, and again 89 should be a B, and it's a B. 75 is a C, 81 is a B, and 69 is a D. So you can see that this is working quite good, right? So that is how to work with the nested if function. Okay, so once again, you double click within the cell, and then the first part of the cell will take the argument, which is the logic statement or the logic test. The next one, which is a true statement, holds the first answer to the logic or to the test. Then the next statement or the next value, which should be the false statement, holds the next logic or the next if statement. And that is how the nested if works. Now we move to the next if function, which is the if end function. Okay, now within the if end function, we're supposed to write within this here two arguments. So if you read the information here, say that in a cell E7, I have to enter a formula that will display the following. I have to display a yes if the athlete is a female and their sprint time is lower than the current world record. So this is the current world record. Okay, so if it's lower than this, then you should write in here yes, record has been broken. And the same for the male. So here, if that is not true, then you have to do that for the male. If the male part also works, then you click within that. So here says that the word yes if the athlete is male and their sprint time is lower than the current time recorded for males. And then they say the word no for all other outcomes, and then say replicate the formula. So here what we're going to do is to begin with the equal sign and say if Now once you type the if, the next argument is end. So we are using two different functions here. We are using the if end. All right, now the end allows you to do two logics at the same time. Okay, it allows you to do two logic. In a case with a nested if, you're allowed to do one logic and then the answer follows. Well, however, in this case here, you're allowed to do two logics at the same time, two or more logics. So here you have logic 1, logic 2, and can continue. So here, the first thing we want to say is that the word yes if the athlete is female. So first of all, this cell is what we are looking at, Mike, and then if we're going to say it's equal to female. So if the person in there is equal to a female, yeah, a female, you put it in the speech mark, and that is the first logic, comma. And then it also say that, and the word yes if the athlete is female and their sprint time is lower. So the next logic time is the next logic we are looking at is this one. Okay, so we going to select this here. If this value here is less than that which is here, we have to return the statement. Okay, if this is true, then I'll return the first answer. Okay, I'll return the first answer, which is a yes. Okay, so I'm going to return a yes if that statement is true. Now if that statement is not true, then I begin with the if and again end. Wow. So in this case here, I have done the first. So in this case here, I've done the first part, which is the it being a female. So if it is a female, that is what you are going to use. It's a female, and if that is a female and he has that score less than that, return yes. And the other argument we're going to do here is to say that the end should come, and then you open the bracket. And so again, you're going to say if this here, that is C7, if it is equal to a male, okay, if it's a male, in other words, if the value there is male, so we put it in speech mark if it is male. And again, if the time here, okay, is less than, if it is less than the value we have for male here, then what you have to do is to return the you return yes to say that record has been broken. Okay, so if none of this is satisfied, then you return in no as the first statement for the argument. So here, if you look closely, we've opened a number of brackets: 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have to close it the same way. On the other hand, if you are not just okay, just click on the enter key, and ESA will ask you if you want to close them, and you say yes. So here we realize that the guy here is a male. His value here is higher than what is here, so it cannot be that this guy who ran at a shorter time, record was broken by this whose time was higher. So if you replicate the information by double clicking or dragging and dropping and auto refill, we find in here that this lady here is a female. The time here is 10.0.23, which is less than this. Okay, because it's less than that, we have to get in. It's less, so it should be a record breaker. So we double check to see what is wrong. Once again, we realize that this keeps shifting down. We have to lock the cell, so we go back to the first cell here. We have to lock these two cells. So the first one we need to lock is the record here. So that is C3. So we have to log C3 by putting the $ in front here and the $ right there. So that is logged so that it doesn't move. We do the same thing for C4. So I put the $ in front and the $ in front of the 4. And so once I've done that, that cell is logged. So it's very important to take note of that. Hit enter. Just want to check again if it is logged. If not, then we have to do it in the remaining cells. So yes, it's logged. So if I autofill, it applies to all. So now you can see that in this case here, female is 0.23 and it's lower than non-time, and so the record indeed is broken. Again, this female here time is higher than that, so it cannot be that she broke a record. Now this guy's time was 2 seconds lower than that, so that's a record broken. So again, with the if end argument, what you have to do is to make sure that the cells which contains the information you are comparing with are logged, okay? Because we don't want them to keep shifting down. The moment it shifts down, it gives us wrong values to compare with, and that will make our work wrong. So that is it for the if end function. The last thing we are looking at is a sum if, right? Now this question says that in a cell E2 to E7, you are supposed to use a formula to enter the total quantity of product in cell D2 to D7. So here, if I type in the equal sign and say sum if and double click on that, it opens. And first of all, I need the range. So the range is all these values of products, and to select everything I have to click on shift, the control shift and the down arrow, and it selects everything. So I'll lock it to prevent it from moving. So I'll just do that by clicking on F4. Now I bring in the comma, and for the criteria, this is what we want to find the sum for. So we want to find sum of the product smart card. So that is a criteria, and I bring comma. Now again, the sum range is the cells that contains the quantities you want to add if they are repeated within the cell. So here, once again, I click on Control Shift with the down arrow and select everything. I can also lock that just to make sure that it doesn't keep moving down, and hit the Enter key. So here it went through the cell. We have the first information here being smart card, and just use the format painter. I have another smart card here. We have another smart card here. So it looks through all the cell and then make sure that all smart cards, the values attached to them are added. So it's add all those values in there which has the name smart card. All right, so it will add all these values together. So this plus that and all the way up. And the answer we got was 1,415. So to get the answer for the other cells, all I have to do is to replicate the formula by double clicking, and it fills in here. So when I double click on that, you find that it's used the HP LaserJet printer in doing the calculation. So it goes through the cell, find all HP LaserJet quantities that are attached to it, and then add them. And that is the use of the sum if function. Now on this note, I will encourage all of you to keep practicing and attempt questions that will challenge you so that you can be able to give out the best when you attempt your paper on the day of the exams. So until we meet again, I encourage you to keep practicing and be good. Bye bye.